If you're watching this, you probably loved and still love the 80s as much as I do. Today we're going to talk about hair bands. So here are my top 10 favorites, and were these guys on your playlist too? They are just smoking.
Geeky Classic Rock.
Hey guys, my name is Kiki, and if you are new to my channel, welcome. What I like to do is talk about anything and everything classic rock. And if you like to hear fun stuff about your favorite bands, then you are in the right place. Please go ahead and consider hitting that subscribe button, again, if you like this type of stuff, and also the like button and the notification bell, because it all helps me out. And we just gotta make this community bigger and bigger and bigger, because we are here, guys, to keep classic rock alive. When you Google the definition of hairband, the first thing you see is that it is an elastic band to secure a ponytail or a hairstyle. Right. But we, of course, are talking about the other type of hairband. The band that plays hard rock or heavy metal and has their hair teased out in such a way that it just makes us love them even more. Oh yeah. The title does say my favorite hairbands of the 80s hairbands, but we do have to realize that a lot of these bands did actually trickle over into the early 90s. From this list, if I left off one of your favorite bands, I'm really sorry, but there were a lot of hair bands, and we only have so much time in this little tiny video. So let's go ahead and let's get into my top 10 favorite hair bands of the 80s.
Firehouse.
These guys put it together in Richmond, Virginia, and it wasn't until they moved to Charlotte that they really just put it all together. At the end of 1989, this band was signed to Epic Records, and they literally just took off. In September of 1990, they did release their first self-titled album. Don't Treat Me Bad and All She Wrote, they were on there, but come on guys, the power ballad that swaddled all of us was on this album as well, Love of a Lifetime. These guys went on to win award after award after award, and won the Best New Hard Rock Heavy Metal Band of 1991 at the American Music Awards. As quickly as Firehouse was on fire, grunge made its way into the music scene in 92, but their second album, Hold Your Fire, held its own. That album did go gold and included the hits Reach for the Sky and When I Look Into Your Eyes. Lead singer CJ Snare said, "To do something that you love and have fans all over the world, I don't see any reason to ever stop." And we hope you never stop. Ever.
Tesla.
Brian Weed and Frank Hannon formed Tesla in 1982, but it wasn't until Troy Luccketta, Tommy Schiach, and lead singer Jeff Keith came on board that they really made a mark in music. The original band name of Tesla was City Kid, but management wasn't really digging that name, so they decided they gotta change it. And also there was another band with the same name. Can't have that. The guys went in the direction of renaming their band with the indirect influence of Nikola Tesla, who helped to enhance wireless communication. Today, when we say the name Tesla, my peers think of the band, but other generations think of the car. Today, we're sticking with the band. Tesla's first album, Mechanical Resonance, was released in '86, and two hits from that album are Modern Day Cowboy and Little Susie. Their second album, The Great Radio Controversy, did come out in 1989, and their cover of the five-man electrical band song Signs and their oh-so-yummy love song are definitely what carved their place in hair history.
Skid Row.
1986 is when this hair/metal band began their journey to carve their way into our hearts. Rachel Bolan and Dave Sabo, they put this all together, and then they brought in guitarist Scotty Hill and drummer Rob Affuso. Matt Fallon, he was the original lead singer of the band, but when the other guys went to a wedding and saw Sebastian Bach perform, it was actually at Mark Weiss's wedding. He's a very famous rock photographer. Sebastian Bach was only 18, and he obviously made a huge impression on the rest of the band, so Matt was out and Sebastian was in. Skid Row's self-titled album came out in January of '89, went 5 times platinum and gave us the massive hits 18 in Life and I Remember You, and those songs still rock us to this very day. Doc McGee, who was managing Skid Row at the time, suggested that the guys lay low after the grunge era creeped in, and this was also after they released their second album, Slave to the Grind. Lead singer Sebastian Bach left the band in '96. ZT Theart, he took over lead singer responsibilities, and Dave Sabo, Scotty Hill, and Rachel Bolan are still with the band today. Sebastian has been successfully touring on his own and did release his own book, 18 in Life, on Skid Row.
Def Leppard.
1977 is when this band started, and honestly, when you think of Def Leppard, well, when I think of Def Leppard, you don't really think of them as a hair band in the true sense of what a hair band is, but they do fall into that category, and come on, they do have great hair. Were they glam? Absolutely not, but the hair and the rock, they just went amazingly well together. Def Leppard originated in Sheffield, England, and when they did come out, they were part of the new wave / British heavy metal era, and the name of their band was Atomic Mass. Rick Savage, Tony Kenning, and Pete Willis, who was later replaced by Phil Collen, brought in 18-year-old Joe Elliott, and between Joe and Tony, they changed the name of the band to Def Leppard. Unlike most other bands, their first album was not a self-titled one. It was called On Through the Night, and it was released on March 14th of 1980. Producer Mutt Lange worked on their second album called High and Dry, which brought us the big hit, Bringing on the Heartbreak, and it was the first metal video on MTV. Def Leppard is classified as being one of the best-selling bands of all time, and girl, we still got some great hair to look at on these boys.
Whitesnake.
And here I go again, and am I on my own to consider these guys a hair band? Have you seen David Coverdale's 80s hair? Yeah! Whitesnake's first album wasn't released until 1987, but they were chipping away at the old music block until 1977 when they were in England. David Coverdale is responsible for putting Whitesnake together, but before Whitesnake was even a thing, he was in the very successful group Deep Purple as he replaced lead singer Ian Gillan. Like Def Leppard, Whitesnake was part of the new wave British heavy metal movement, and the band's second album, Love Hunter, had a very risque album cover with a naked woman embraced with a big ginormous snake. I mean, really, would you expect anything less? Albums 5 and 6, Saints and Sinners and Slide It In. The hits Here I Go Again and Love Ain't No Stranger are still fan favorites today. And Here I Go Again was originally released in 1982, but it didn't become a hit until 1987, and it went to #1. And yes, thank goodness for Whitesnake and their hair.
Warrant.
Whitesnake and Def Leppard, they are hair and they are not glam, but Warrant, they have got it all. Their hair, their glam, and their metal. Hollywood 1984 is when guitarist Eric Turner originated the band, and they would quickly go on to open for Stryper, Ted Nugent, and Hurricane the band. That is the band that Kelly Hansen, current lead singer of Foreigner, was the lead singer for back then. In 1987, the late Janie Lane became Warrant's lead singer, and the year after that, they were signed by Columbia Records, and the year after that, they released their first album in 1989 called Dirty Rotten Filthy Stinkin' Rich. Say that 10 times fast. I can't. This album produced 4 huge hits, 2 of them being the monster ballads Sometimes She Cries and Heaven, which did hit #1. In 1990, Warrant gave the fans more cause they wanted some more, so the album they released, Cherry Pie, had a huge hit with the single of the same name, and that song just tore it up in the beginning of the 1990s. On August 11th, 2011, Janie Lane was found dead just 3 years after he had left the band. Eric Turner, Jerry Dixon, Stephen Sweet, and Robert Mason make up Warrant today, and sometimes I do cry when I'm in heaven eating cherry pie inside of Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Really?
I thought it was good.
Quiet Riot.
It's hard to believe that Quiet Riot had its start all the way back in 1973, but it did. Kelly Garney, bass guitarist, and the late Randy Rhoads started off as Mach 1. Then they became Little Women, and in 1975 decided on a name that would take them through the rest of the decades, Quiet Riot. LA is where the Quiet Riot guys got their start. They did the club circuit like a lot of other bands did, and so did Van Halen. So the guys, the two bands, they had a little bit of a rivalry going on because they were both hungry for a record deal, and they kind of wanted to see who got one first. Late lead singer Kevin DuBrow brought a lot of turmoil turmoil to the band, and eventually Garney left and was replaced by Rudy Sarzo, who went on to play alongside Ozzy Osbourne. But before that, Randy Rhoads had also left to play alongside Ozzy, so Quiet Riot lost 2 of their guys to Ozzy Osbourne. Now, one would think with all this craziness going on, band members leaving, that Quiet Riot would be no more. But in 1982, Kevin DuBrow reached out to Randy Rhoads to see if he could give new life to the band, and Rhoads didn't object. Randy did say he would have to also ask Rudy Sarzo, and he was cool with it too. So the new band moved on with Carlo Cavazzo, Chuck Wright, and the late Frankie Banali. The release of their album Metal Health was their 3rd release, and that gave us the great hit Come On Feel the Noise, which was originally released in 1973 by the band Slade. Quiet Riot will continue to live on in hair history as we continue to bang our heads.
You did it again! You did it again!
So what? Jeez.
Motley Crue.
Heavy metal, glam, rock, hair, these guys had it all, and they started out in LA. After a few presto changos, Nikki Sixx, Tommy Lee, Mick Mars, and Vince Neil became the nucleus of what we know as Motley Crue. While they played the club circuit, they created their own record label. Why not? That was called Leather Records, and the umlaut was over the U, which replaced the E at the end of leather. Motley Crue guys, they liked umlauts. They still like umlauts because it reminded them of their favorite beer, Lowenbrau. Lowenbrau has umlauts. It does. Elektra Records picked up the Crue in '82, and right from the beginning, they got themselves in trouble a lot. In September of 1983, they released their 2nd album, Shout at the Devil, which gave us their uber hit, Looks That Kill. Girls, 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 Kickstart My Heart, and a whole bunch of other hits came out of the Crue. And after the dissolution of their cessation agreement, they were supposed to tour this summer alongside Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett, but we know what happened there, and they have rescheduled for next year in 2021.
Cinderella.
Tommy. Did I ever tell you how much I absolutely love Tom Kiefer? Well, if I didn't, I ain't nobody's fool. I did it again. Philadelphia, PA, 1982 is when this amazingly yummy band of Cinderella came together, and Tom Kiefer, along with bassist Eric Biddingham, put it all together and gave us what we know as Cinderella. Thank you. At that time, it was Gene Simmons from Kiss who believed in Cinderella so much that he tried really hard to get Polygram to sign the band, but it was a no-go. John Bon Jovi then took an interest in Cinderella, and he got the deal done. He got Mercury Polygram to sign them in '85, and I say good job, Johnny. On August 2nd of 1986, Cinderella released their debut album called Night Songs, and it went platinum. Of course it did. Somebody Save Me, Shake Me, and the hardcore hair hit Nobody's Fool. They were all on there, and we still love them today. They became hits then, and girl, I still play them all the time right now. In 2008, Tom was told that he would never sing again due to damage to one of his vocal cords, but have you heard him sing lately alongside his wife Savannah and the rest of his amazing band members in the Tom Kiefer Band? He's great. His voice is absolutely beautiful, and we are so glad Tom is still able to bring his beautiful voice to all of us.
Poison.
Hi. How could Poison not be the poster child of what a hair band was and still is? They had the makeup, especially Brett with his nice shiny lip gloss, and they just knew how to play the crowd. They knew how to sway the girls, and of course, they had the hair. Like Cinderella, Poison also came from Pennsylvania, but they were from Mechanicsburg. So not only did Pennsylvania give us the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution, they gave us the greatest hair bands of all time, and we salute you. Poison first called themselves Paris, then they changed their name to Spectre. Then when they moved to LA in '83, they changed their name for good to Poison, and thank you, because that's a good solid name right there, Poison. Slash did join the band for a little teeny tiny while, but the band of Poison that we know today includes Bobby Doll, CeCe DeVille, Ricky Rocket, and Mr. Cutie Pie himself, Bret Michaels. My Bretty. That same year they moved to LA, they got signed to Enigma Records and got 10 top 40s, a 5-time platinum record. Of course, that was Open Up and Say, ah, 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 ah. And to me, Poison is the top hair band of the 80s and the 90s. Hands down. Ow. 30 plus years later and 7 studio albums, these guys today are still capable of putting on the best party that the world has ever seen. I hope you enjoyed our look back at the hair bands from the 80s and the 90s, and who was your top favorite? Let us know in the comments down below. Go ahead and keep that classic rock flow going and check out one of these 2 videos coming up next, and always don't forget to keep rocking.